But speaking of show starts right now, hello and welcome to this week's episode of Pit Against a Live Flesh Blood Call-In Show. I'm William Table and Legs, and I'm joined as often as I can be by Kevin.
Sup?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. My constant co-host, Kevin Smurph Murphy. I wasn't reading the paper.
What?
Kevin, what's up?
Uh, I'm tired.
We're all tired. But
I'm
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it's a lot,
Oh
man.
yeah? Oh yeah? Yeah. Well, it's a good thing we have an easy show on for tonight, and by that I mean probably
Yeah.
not. Pit Against is a live call-in show, and if you'd like to be live on air talking to Kevin about your stressors, you can join the Pit Against Discord by clicking on the link that's in the description. Join the waiting room channel, like people have already started doing, and put your hot take in the topics text channel. If we like your take, we'll pull you on air for a mic check, and then pull you actually on air. And then if you want me to represent your take, I can. If you put it in the comments or in chat or whatever. But yeah, Kevin, what actually is up?
Um, I get to work eights for a pay period at least instead
Okay,
of nines or tens.
true. You're not going on any big
Uh,
trips in the next week or so, right?
Next weekend.
Oh, frick. Wait, where are you going next weekend?
I'm just going to the beach with my family for
Oh,
a week.
okay, okay. At first, I
It's
thought you were
gonna
about
be
to be like,
20.
I'm about to go win a calling in Canada's Nationals or something like that.
Uh,
Um,
I'm going to the beach with 26 other people,
that's a lot
all in
of
one
people.
house.
That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
It's gonna be fun.
All right, well, no,
Um,
that sounds cool.
so yeah, actually, I will be away that week, two
Sure,
weeks from now.
sure,
So
sure.
uh, that, so I get to work eights because that's in the next pay
Mm-hmm.
period. So then I work tens after that, and then I work tens the pay period after that for Singapore.
It's gonna be a really busy Discord call that week when we do Pit Against and we have 30 people on. Um,
And none
but
of them know how flesh and blood works.
oh yeah. Well, no, I think that's the best part. They have the most interesting takes that way, right?
Oh God.
Um,
Sure.
so I guess real quick, new living legend at calling somewhere
Bologna.
Bologna. Um, that's upsetting. Uh,
Yep.
to about half of the no, that's upsetting to about
No. 20% maybe
20% at
most.
most. It's probably less. It's probably 5% of the
It's
community,
probably 10.
and then to to 10%, it's upsetting. To 10%, they never cared, and then to
Yep.
80%, feels good. Been seeing a lot of happy memes. That's
Yep.
the biggest news that's definitely happened over the last week, right? Um, but we have callers already.
In flesh and blood, yeah.
Yeah, in Flesh and Blood. There's always something, anyways. But in Flesh and Blood, yes. What? Who's? We have multiple callers. Who do you want to hit first?
Um, well, only one of them has posted any takes in the
Ooh,
channel.
ooh,
So,
ooh. Oh, that's interesting. Well, you can pull whoever you want to pull. I'm gonna read up on this other take and
all right,
chat to the audience.
sure. All right, I'll BRB.
Okay. All right. Shout out to the armpit in chat. Um, saying that the new Table Pit playmat that's on Talishar looks awesome. You can have the Table Pit's Hawaiian themed playmat as your playmat on Talishar if you sub to our Patreon, which is like minimum of $1. Literally, if you're giving $1 once for like a month, you're giving more than any person is in ad revenues, period. I encourage you to download an ad blocker if you are sub to our Patreon. Like that is an endorsement by me for you. Also, I don't think I directed Craig to putting a take in the topics text channel, which I totally should have. But my bad. Kevin, turn your video on for a second.
Oh yeah.
You're good. There we go. We're back to normal. We have a caller. Caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, hello. It is Clark Morgan
Yeah.
calling from Cypress, California.
Heck yeah. What would you like to talk about today?
So I'd like to talk about how wizards have the lowest amount of class cards, my methodology around that, and then why I think they will be the next Mastery Pack class. So if LSS decides to do another Mastery Pack, I think it's going to be wizards.
Did you go to school for writing? You have a very, like, you and the show that you're a part of have a very structured sense to the way that you handle information, and it's beautiful, and you should be proud of yourself.
Well, thank you very much. But no, I have the way I describe it is my father was an engineer and taught me how to clean at the age of 8 by saying, so here's what you do. You take the washcloth and then you fold it in half, then you fold it into quarters, then you wring it out 2 times, then you hold it at a 35-degree angle. And again, I'm an 8 years old. And it's just so systematic and step by step.
That sounds like. Now you said this was your dad, so I'm not saying anything about saying anything about your dad, but it does remind me of the meme where it's like boomers are like, OCD didn't exist when I was a kid, but then they want to fold their towel twice and then use it at specifically a 45-degree angle while scrubbing. You know what I mean? So yeah, but so wizards have the least amount of class cards.
Yes. So
yeah.
In the column topics, I put the image of the little spreadsheet that I made, but here is the methodology behind this. Because at first, what I did was I went to Fabry and I looked at the graph that you were looking at earlier. Fabry has a stats page where it can pull up cards based on whether they are connected to a specific talent or a specific class. But I found it lacking for what I was looking for, because it says that wizards actually have a lot of cards, right?
Sure.
More than, say, illusionists.
True.
But no, there are way more illusionist cards. They're just light illusionists or draconic illusionists.
Oh,
they have the illusionist on it, but they also have a talent attached to it.
Which is also different than, like, light illusionist is different than a light card that could be in an illusionist deck. A light illusionist
Very
deck.
much so.
Okay.
So what I did is on Fabry, I searched for class, and then every card that has that specific class listed on it. So cards that are assassin, they could be chaos assassin or just plain assassin. Brute, it could be shadow brute or plain brute, right? So grabbing in talent class combo cards. And then
that's interesting.
You also have to remove hero tokens, because Fabry counts hero tokens. And also, if you create tokens, like Goldfin Harpoon would get counted in that stats page, but that is not a card you can register for your deck. It is a token that a hero creates.
True.
So it takes a little bit of math to get these numbers, but as you can see, aside from Pirate and Necromancer, which just got added, Wizards are the next lowest at 206 available cards.
So these stats are interesting. Why? I guess I throw the softball of why even bring this up? What does it matter, right? The deck's play. I just saw a wizard win U.S. Nats. So I guess it card deck size doesn't matter.
Well, one, I think that is something meaningful to say, because a lot of the times why people say talented heroes are more explicitly powerful is because they have access to a larger card pool. And consistently, I think we can kind of push back a little bit against that and say, well, not necessarily.
Okay.
So that's one reason why this stat is interesting. Two is that this was one of the metrics that I used to sort of look forward and say, well, what might be coming in upcoming sets? And then I kind of use that to direct some of the content that I talk about on my podcast.
Yeah.
So like which classes are coming up, what might be needing a shakeup. And it isn't always true. For example, the most represented class is Mechanologist.
True. Which is an outlier because it's kind of also a talent-ish. Or it was thought of as a talent at one point. It's Also,
it's already had a mastery set.
yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yes. And so that's going to throw a lot of these numbers off. And I think the moment that the Guardian Mastery Pack comes out, this stat becomes a little bit less useful.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you can see, Guardian has 264. I'm sure they're going to shoot up above Mechanologist after the Mastery Pack. This also counts each different color, by the way. So if there's a red card and then a yellow and a blue version, it counts all of those.
Sure.
Okay.
That's
okay.
the methodology.
Sure. So I think we're about due for a Necromancer set. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Actually, yes, though. Because this was the reason why we got such a big flurry of assassin sets. Like, they're introduced in Dynasty, and then we immediately got them in Outsiders.
We only got like 2 assassin cards in Dynasty that are playable.
No, we got a ton of assassin cards in Dynasty.
That are playable.
Playable is not the topic here.
Three. Kevin's counting Eradicate.
Nope.
Plunder the Poor.
Nope.
Regicide.
Surgical and Leave No Witnesses.
Those are the main ones.
Shred.
That
Black
one's
Text.
okay.
Mask of Perdition.
Okay. Yep. Those are all playable.
Mm-hmm.
True. You got it. Kevin wins.
But yeah, definitely not talking about playability here, because playability also calls a lot of things into question. Though I would say Wizard still hurting there, because how many of their cards are just Zap clones from Rosetta?
How many of their cards are yellow Zaps?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's actually like how many of them are yellow Zaps, because like some of the blue ones and red ones are actually like reasonable cards to put in your deck at times. Like Pop the Bubble is actually a very interesting card for Verdance at times. And then all of the Zaps are just good with Kano.
True.
Like, they do crazy stuff in Kano. Like, Overflow the Aetherwell is kind of messed up.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, you don't play the yellow ones. You play the blue ones because they're blue.
True.
Yeah.
But
so they definitely lose some simply by the nature of how the class works. Wizards also just kind of have the least amount of sets printed for them as well. They've appeared in the least amount of, I would say specifically draftable formats. A lot of where Wizards got a big bulk of cards was from supplemental sets. They've really only appeared as draftable in, I want to say, 3 sets: Rosetta, Uprising, and Arcane Rising.
Yeah, Arcane Rising.
Technically draftable.
I have played against one in an Arcane Rising draft before.
I tried playing Kano in an Arcane Rising draft.
I'm so sorry.
My Azalea opponent drafted lots of blues and yellows in AB4.
I forgot you had to draft AB, but you can also draft AB. Like, you not only have to draft AB, and it's like, but you can draft up to AB4, and that's the funny part.
And then you have to hit the Kano.
Yeah. Well,
it
yeah,
was
that's
very
true.
funny. This was a partner of a friend, and that is to date the only time she has ever played Flesh and Blood. And she like decimated me.
I love that.
Oh, I got wrecked. It was good. She had a game plan and she carried it out. Like, it was
true.
It was great fundamentals.
So to get back to it, you think Wizard needs the next supplemental set? Needs the next mastery pack?
Well, I think primarily because LSS has expressed offhandedly in a few interviews here and there how hard it is to print Wizard cards in a limited environment. They were able to use this macro design as a great way of providing a little bit of it, but I think putting Arcane Barrier on draftable equipment is something that is proven to be a frustrating design element. I think with Rosetta, they put Life Gain in, right? And Life Gain was how they tried to work around it. Very, very cool workaround.
Yeah.
And then a few prevention effects. I think they could definitely print more prevention effects as a way of trying to put some arcane. But when you think about the turn-by-turn interaction, a few prevention cards, a few life gain cards, it isn't enough. That macro was really, really necessary to make Rosetta work. But even in this set, they were very scared of printing any number higher than 4 on a card. Like an arcane damage card.
Yeah, in Rosetta, yeah.
Okay.
And nothing went higher than that, really.
It was only Comet Storm that did, and it was Acilio only, and he had his own trade-offs, like 18 health.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think LSS has just struggled with wizard design. They've tried to lean more into having talented attack action cards as a way of sort of fleshing out the card pool, making them a little bit more playable and limited. But I've heard a lot of wizard players actually respond with kind of a mixed bag about that. I think it was exciting and interesting when Michael Hamilton did it with Icelander.
Yes.
And was less so when they did it in Verdance and Acilio. I think the demand for like a heavy all arcane set is there. And I'm not sure if Rosetta really fulfilled that desire in the player base.
I don't think it did, just because neither of the wizards that they put out were replacements for Kano or Icelander in terms of feeling like wizards. They got Verdance a little closer, I think, with Burn Bear, but not really a ton. It's just another card in the deck, and it doesn't really change the fundamental play patterns. I'm gonna ask a question from a different angle here. Does Kano need to LL before they do this?
Great question. I think they could avoid it if they have wizards play around something brand new, which is hard because so far they haven't done that. But I guess the way I think about it is, I don't know if anyone could really imagine a mechanologist without boost. And then they printed Puffin with all this cog support. It's doable, right? Like they can come out with some design that's out of the bag and requires all of this build around that Kano can't really abuse, forcing comboing to have to occur on the action phase. Something I think they did really, really well with Acilio and Verdance was pushing that 30 damage combo to occur on their turn rather than on the opponent's turn.
Sure. Usually, yeah.
So I think there are things that they can do in design to prevent that from being the case, but probably.
I see what you're saying, and I think that's kind of. I guess I'm talking to Kevin, right? So like, I see what you're saying. It made me tangent in my head, wondering if LSS has some ulterior motive with the 1.5 LL points, where maybe they're waiting for like a few specific heroes to hit LL, and then after those heroes and weapons hit LL, they're just like, oh, you know what? Now seems like a great time to retire the 1.5 LL point thing for heroes after 2 years. Like they're waiting for specific ones to disappear, and then after they do, then they can go back to normal. I wonder if that's part of their mindset, or maybe some like devious thought that they have going on, or if they're genuine, or if they're going to stick with the 1.5 LL thing going forward. I'm getting off topic, but like, you made me wonder that now. Because like a wizard mastery pack class set thing box, whatever, is like, it really is just like, it would have to be very off the wall. But how could it, right? So like, Mechanologist is not fully tied to singularly boost. Wow, word. But like, Wizard is kind of fully tied to Arcane, and in all things within the class need to like warp around Arcane. And so like, if you have an entire mastery set of Arcane stuff for Wizard, it's going to have to work in Kano. Like, Kano's going to find a way to get some of that stuff, break some of that stuff, right? Like, or otherwise you are, I don't know, Hero just inhibits design space. Not that he's not a bad or unfun hero, but it's just like, maybe he does need to retire.
They gave him, honestly, like if he didn't have Ragamuffins, he actually would be a much more Ragamuffins or Deja Vu. He would actually be a pretty reasonable hero, I think. And it wouldn't be as limiting, just because Wildfire doesn't get to be as easily multiplicative. But like, yeah, they have to limit the wizard non-attacks that they print. Like, they gave him an Eternal Inferno, but he still doesn't play it. But that's because it's so like difficult to use that they can't print anything that would like work with Eternal Inferno.
Yeah.
So like Acilio can't use
Inferno, that's not really playable in K now, because if you use it on the opponent's turn when you banish it and it's playable again, you can't play it at instant speed.
Could you off the
but what
top of the decade on
what
your
you're
turn?
doing is you rip it off the top on your turn and then play it as the instant and then play it as an action.
It costs 2 blues for 8 damage of arcane.
It'll have to be 9 because you have to surge it, but you also have to surge it.
Yeah.
Oh, true. Yes.
And then Oasis blowouts can happen and stuff like that,
mean,
which is just why Kanos don't do it, because
Wizards
comboing for 50 on the opponent's turn when they're tapped out is a million times better than...
I mean, you just like AB1 and it doesn't surge if he just crucibles it.
Yeah, if he just crucibles
you don't even need Oasis.
I forgot it was surge.
Yeah, but even if you put like some massive amp on it, like it still doesn't do enough.
Yeah, like you have to reliably punch it above AB3 for it to work, which means you need like Verdance levels of amp, which means then you need action points from somewhere.
But if Wildfire combo wasn't a thing that Kano could do, they could print more interesting cards that aren't as huge as Aether Wildfire, like Eternal, whatever it's called, Internal Fireball, to put in these classes that are interesting.
Combos.
Yeah, and maybe a bunch of smaller combos like on turn, off turn. Kano is more interesting. Would be a more interesting.
It is
space,
more like Eternal Inferno would be really cool for Blaze.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess the question is Kano the problem, or having the ability to reliably play a non-attack action card on the opponent's turn, outside of something like Storm Striders where there has to be a big sacrifice, or is Wildfire the problem?
I mean, I think it's because yes, he does have Storm Striders, but he gets 2 other pieces, and he also has Blazing Aether, which is fully multiplicative again.
Yeah,
like it's Blazing plus Wildfire that gets you exponential numbers, which like Open the Floodgates is of course also a problem with that. But also like if you don't have Blazing Aether and they just go like 4 wide on Floodgates, but every single one of them does like 3, it's like okay.
Mr. Moon says
you dealt like 15 damage.
Alice has played Wizard Design Space 2 safe because of Kano. Would love to see Blaze hit CC after Kano leaves. 1,000 more wizard heroes. And so I think it's interesting, like if Kano leaves, a wizard mastery set would be super cool. And if you want a headliner for a mastery set like you did Valda in this Guardian one, Blaze would be pretty sick. Another young hero that you
LSS
bring in.
has had a consistent pattern of trying to print young only heroes as adults.
Slip through the cracks.
Oh yeah,
Slip through the cracks. Benji was originally supposed to be Zen. Dash.io was originally supposed to be Datadol.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a consistent pattern that Kasai got reprinted, right? KO got printed as a new adult form. So it's been a consistent pattern of LSS to want to bring those young heroes into adult CC and separate that a little bit more than I guess what it has been. But yeah, look, at the end of the day, the take is, look, Wizards have had a really hard time getting printed. And it's hard to mix it in with other sets without just giving a bunch of Arcane Barrier everywhere. And so
every 5 years, we need a new Wizard Mastery set, and then we can stop printing Wizard and draft sets. You're right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay, no, but my last point, and real quick, is to both of you. What set needs the Mastery set next after Guardian? Who gets it after Guardian?
What class?
Yeah, what class? Sorry. What class gets it?
Barring Wizard, because I have just...
No.
Very
if it's Wizard, say Wizard. If you think it's Wizard, say Wizard. You think it's Wizard? I thought so. What do you think, Kevin? Because I think my answer is going to be probably Warrior.
I think I might agree with Warrior. It's either Warrior, like I think they need to go through like the other 3 or the other 2 like WTR classes. Like I think Brute needs something beyond KO, because KO is the only one who's going to actually survive. Also, when they lose claws, they're going to need something.
Yes.
So like Brood's going to need something
Moon
soon
says
because
Brood.
KO's also like 730 points.
Mm-hmm.
And then Warrior needs like a little extra something to like push it over the edge and help with stuff. But I don't know if those are cards that you can actually put in draft sets.
If Warrior becomes good, does that mean that's better or worse for the Card Guys YouTube channel? Because they don't get to they don't get to.
It'll depend on Josh Lau's results.
Does that mean he can because he won't be able to complain about Warrior, but will he be able to?
No, but he's going to get so much attention.
True.
When a Warrior Mastery Pack gets announced,
yes,
he's going to get so many freaking clicks.
Dory gets their 13th specialization. All right.
You know, I will say of the classes that need a modernization, I think their design space is just stuck in Fab 1.0 or like Alpha Fab. I think Brute is definitely there. I really see the argument for Brute. I just think that Brute is a lot easier to print in other sets. I think we're due for a Savage Land set. I think it is super synergistic to print with Necromancer. And I know we're going to be getting more Necromancer sets. So like Savage Lands with a Brute and a Necromancer, 6 power synergy, 6 power on allies, 6 power on attack cards. Like it all just works very, very clean. Discarding, it works so cleanly. So I just see an inherent synergy there. I think Brute won't get the Mastery Pack because the Mastery Pack is kind of a signal of you're not going to show up in the draftable sets. So we need to find a place to print you in this supplemental set.
And it's true because everyone hates playing as Guardian. I don't know anybody who plays a Guardian anymore.
I guess like when we saw heavy hitters, we saw that Guardian didn't really work in draft. So
and nearly 2 years later, right?
Yeah,
like we're getting this in like a year and quite a bit.
Year and a half.
Yeah. So it's definitely been a while since we've seen a Guardian, and I think it would be okay for us to not get a Guardian set for like another year after this.
We also had the Jarl Armory deck.
True.
Which is them again saying we can't put Guardian in draft because it's either too good or too weak.
That's interesting. No, that's a good point. Actually, there is a part of me that wants to go back and play a heavy hitters draft and try to force Victor. Now that I've played a lot more Victor, I don't know. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. Give me a look.
I definitely tried it once, but that's because I ripped a pack one, pick one Golden Sun.
That'll do it.
That'll do it.
Speaking of that'll do, thank you so much for the call. Is there anything you want to shout out?
Shout out you guys. Shout out my own podcast, Pitch It To Me podcast. Shout out Kevin for appearing as a guest on that. Will, we're going to get you in one of these days. Oh!
It's in writing. This is on air.
Non-binding verbal. We got to get you on, buddy.
Non-binding.
And you know what? Shout out to all the good people who work on these sets, because I think a lot of the times we can end up just talking about James and Brian and maybe Chris Gehring, the lead of the dev team, but there's a lot of names that work on these sets. There's a lot of people on that team, and every single one of them gets their fingerprints on some card somewhere, and I appreciate all of them. So thanks for making this game, LSS.
Yeah, I love playing the game. I would hate balancing this. My hair would turn as gray as James White's if I had to do that. So good on them.
2 block or 3 block, decide.
I think James would say 3 and ship it. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Heck yeah. Thank you for being on.
All right. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Bye. Goodbye. Thank you. Shoot, I had something witty lined up that I was going to say, and I forgot what it was. Nope, that's
something
it.
About Ninja not needing a mastery pack because they got Bonds of Ancestry.
It wasn't related to that, but I was thinking of that when we were talking about it. I was like, all the Welcome to Wraith classes needed. Guardian, Brute, Warrior. No, Ninja's a misfail set, so a misfail class. Yep. So, They're good.
And
They're good.
well, Bonds is Outsiders.
Bonds was Outsiders. You know how crazy that is that Bonds was Outsiders? That's insane.
You want to know why Katsu didn't show up? Lexi.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. I remember Baltimore, like there was a
Icelander.
There was a whole narrative going into that weekend of Pro Tour Baltimore about several testing teams. Like the whole testing team brought Katsu.
Team Poland.
Team Poland. Oh my gosh.
They brought Pummel Katsu.
Whoa.
Because you could pummel Bonds. Because it's a 2 cost.
You can pummel Bonds, you can pummel Surging Strike.
Even though you played it for free.
Oh.
So you go pitch a blue, play your Surging Strike, play Descendant Gust Wave, play Bonds, Tunic pummel the Bonds, or you can pummel Surging Strike, by the way, to get it to hit to then go into your combo line.
It's cute. It's very disruptive.
It's really cute. And it's not good. I don't know any of them that did really well with it.
I think it was a part of the narrative that they didn't do very well with it. So
I believe so.
Well, do we want to?
It was funny.
Yeah. Do we want to get our next caller in? They've been waiting forever, and I feel guilty.
They've been waiting like half an hour. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough. True.
BRB.
Half hour since the show started. We were also doing the show before the show. Actually, I typically start the show around 7 o'clock, or at least I start the stream at 7 o'clock. So if you want to join us 7 p.m. on Thursday afternoons, Eastern time, I'm going to be on air streaming just to warm up the show, and you can come and hang out and you can put takes so we can talk about things that we're going to talk about on the show before the show. But speaking of the show, with the show, on the show is a caller. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Craig. Also, Poopy is what I go by. But, you guys don't have to call me that for the sake of the children listening. But you guys were just talking about some ninjas, and I want to talk a little bit about Ira and what I'm expecting from the upcoming Armory set. Before the show, I said that it's not going to be a good onboarding deck or a good deck for new players.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that necessarily, and I don't want that to be the spin here.
Sure.
I think what I'm more thinking is that Edge of Autumn and combo is kind of lackluster for an Ira deck. I think that Ira is a really great choice for new players who want to be expressive with their deck building choices.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that these cards just like are pretty underwhelming and take away a lot of interesting support that Ira's gotten. So one of the cards that I would like point to illustrate this first is Cut Through. Cut Through cares about a dagger hitting.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're taking away I would say you're taking away upgrade paths for this deck if you want the players to stick with the shell, right? If they're like, wow, I like combo, I like Edge of Autumn. Well, now like you're not going to be on a Flick Knives deck, and that's fine. You don't have to, but you're not playing retrieve cards. You're not playing Cut Through. Blood Splattered Vest isn't live. So there's a lot of stuff that is like a lot of interesting cards that exist in the format being kind of taken off the table. And when you look at Armory decks, Armory decks had historically had anywhere between 1 to 3 new cards in deck and then 4 new equipment pieces. The only one that I can think of that only had 1 new card in deck was Bolton with Saving Grace. We already know this deck is having at least 2 because we've seen the like CNC combo, and there's got to be a follow-up for that. So when I'm my personal thought,
real quick, it's not actually CNC, right? What is it? It's
no.
Sorry, yeah, it's
Enact Vengeance.
Just for people who don't know.
Yeah, so it's a combo card that combos off of Edge of Autumn or a card with Vengeance in its name.
Okay.
Notably, that's open-ended as to whether there's 1 or 2 more, or even more than that. And it gets if the last attack had that combo, this gets when it hits destroy all cards in their arsenal. So it's a cool ninja.
Okay. Yeah,
and it's a cool ninja, CNC replacement.
Yep.
However, one of the things that makes combo decks playable is the ability to tutor. Ira doesn't have that. And so you have much more face-up lines with less potential to... I think going Kadachi into a 5 is a little bit... keeps your opponent guessing a little bit more than starting with Edge of Autumn, right? Because you're either going to have... let's say the second card in the line becomes a 4 go again off that. You already have options to do that. So you are kind of just putting yourself in a place where you had to sequence the turn this way instead of I'm keeping my opponent guessing by sequencing the turn this way.
It's so I guess to kind of go one step further on this, or maybe condense it, I'm not sure which. When you have Edge of Autumn, there is only one real line that there's 2 lines your deck can take, which is Edge of Autumn plus 0 cost go again into 2 cost. Or like 1 cost go again, I guess. But if you have Kadachis, you can go Kadachi 1 cost, Kadachi 2 cost, 0 cost go again, 1 cost go again into 1 for 5. Like you have way more flexibility in terms of, one, the cards that you can present, that your opponent has to account for. 2, the cards you can put in your deck.
True.
Yeah, so that is where this like has a benefit that Kadachi's doesn't, is it opens you up to blues and other cards as well, but mainly blues that you're interested in running but didn't fit. And so that's why I don't want to say that this isn't a good first off, we haven't seen the deck, but
True.
I don't think it's fair to say this might not be a good place to start, because I love deck building. Let me build a shitty deck, but as long as I get to feel like I'm choosing the cards that I like, then I enjoy that. So if you're someone who's like, hey, I really want to play Pummel Ira, but I only want to play blue Pummels, like this allows you to have that option. I'm not sure what you're doing if you're like, I only want to be on blue Pummels, but that's your choice, and it's nice that they can have that choice, but I don't think that I just don't really know what support they could have around combo and Edge of Autumn that's not just like a shitty Sabers Bolton. Like, because the best you could do would be like swing again, or we'll see. But
if your power cards that you want to build the deck around are narrow and ask very specific things of you, like you need to be attacking with Edge of Autumn, then it really condenses your options on what you can fit in around those power cards, based on the specifically the weapons that you get to use and the cards you can use with those weapons. I think it's interesting. And for new players, that's definitely the case. But Ira, I don't know if and I know we're talking about this probably in the context of newer players, but like I don't think does what's the new card again? Something Vengeance?
Enact.
Does Enact Vengeance, is that good enough to where you're just like, I'm playing the 1 for 5 Ira list, the Kadachi 1 for 5 Ira list, and I really enjoy that. That card isn't enough to make me just have to feel like I need to switch my deck, right?
There's almost no scenario if you're on like a 1 for 5 list in which you would want to take out your second weapon swing. I mean, that really...
I wouldn't feel pressured to just go ahead and take out Kadachis in general and just start playing this Edge of Autumn list.
I guess we need to see what the other Vengeance cards do. Because if there's like a 0 cost Vengeance card and you can go Kadachi that Vengeance card into the Enact, then maybe, but like even that's still like pretty unreliable to line up. I think the thing that I'm curious about with it, to see like if it actually becomes the way they actually make it good, is they do what they did. They've already shown that they like halfway want to do this, which is they make it like Bonds, and it doesn't care what gust wave it follows. just that it's a Gust Wave.
A vengeance.
I think that's the future for combo in general.
Yes.
I think that we even saw opened up design space in Mistvale caring about color as the combo trigger. I really hope that they keep her combo lines open enough that it makes sense to run them. But I also worry that you know, they have to line up and not make you feel like you're jumping through a million hoops just to uh, essentially play a worse version of CNC, even though it's still just a 2-card, right? It's still 2 cards. You're sending it for 7 as Ira. I also worry that just like if that is their plan of just like, oh well, you'll have your Edge of Autumn and the card that combos with Edge of Autumn. It's like, is that sort of like mid-range? Just I'm sending 8 each turn going to be, I mean, I guess that's historically pretty good. So
It's done all
Yeah.
right.
It's done all right.
yeah.
I guess the question that I want to see how they flesh it out, because I agree that like combo's consistency is super tied up in the ability to tutor cards. I mean, that's like where Bonds of Ancestry was super good and Zen was super good, and that's like Katsu's whole strength is like that he can just go grab whatever card, and Retrace helps him like smooth out all of his combo lines. Like there needs to be some level of that, and they even gave Benji a spec to do that.
The Benji Katsu spec, which one of my favorite
Yeah,
arcs in
oh.
Flesh and Blood, unrelated, but love that card.
Yeah. So like I'd be very curious if there was like a Seek Vengeance card, which is a head jab on hit tutor a combo, discard a 0-cost tutor a combo card, and you can go Edge of Autumn, Seek Vengeance into tutor Enact Vengeance.
I do think that is probably
That's cool.
the coolest name. That's the coolest
great.
name for a card. That's like
We were talking about developing cards, Kevin. That's pretty dope,
Like
actually.
that-
I do think that like one of the things that I imagine LSS wants to do is a bit of this like paying homage to the start of Flesh and Blood, the first welcome deck, right? And so I wonder like where they start to fit that in if they try to. Like, do we see Whirling Mist blossom in this deck?
Oh, I hope
Because
so.
I would assume.
I love that card, but it's like, okay, well, how many reactions do we have? Are we really like that card is great with the Kodachis. Like it is something where I'm just wondering like I don't know, I'm just super interested to see the deck, but I do think that they leave a lot of very cool already explored Ira stuff on the table to do something new with Ira, and I hope it works.
Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, do you want to go ahead? I was gonna change topics, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna, I guess, then ask of what happens to Ira when Katsu LLs and she loses Kodachis anyways.
That is a nightmare. Well, I think that honestly, what I would love to see happen for ninjas in general is I would love to see Tiger Taming Kakura come back. I'm not like clamoring for Zen to, un-LL, but I do think that more weapons is necessary right now, being that they've taken away Zephyr Needle. It does mean that if Katsu LLs, or when Katsu LLs rather, they need to print another dagger because of all those cards left on the table with something like Edge of Autumn. Because yes, it's fine if you print these good cards or even just like cards that care about Edge of Autumn and they're playable. That's great, but we don't want to just leave an entire archetype. Until they print another draft set with a ninja in it.
There is. Oh, go ahead.
Is it fair to say that Ninja needs their Waning Moon?
Oh wow. No, it's not.
Because like that's become like a staple wizard weapon.
I don't know. Like I feel like someone was talking about this topic of there should probably be more ninja weapons, right? And they were like theorizing on what other ninja daggers look like. Something like it's the same dagger, and it says it costs 2 and it swings for 1. But if you've attacked with one of these already this turn, it costs 1 less. So pitch a blue, attack with 2 daggers.
Swing for both.
Swing for both. It's an idea. I'm just saying, with design spaces as like that, and Flesh and Blood being as it is, and how well developed it is. Honestly, like, there's a ton of different directions. You could probably still take daggers, and they feel close but different than Kodachi. And I think that's fine.
Here's an offhand I could pitch for would be a scroll a la Naruto, a Naruto scroll.
Yeah.
For 3 resources, you just name a card, and that card is considered having been the last card on the combat chain. So even if you start your turn with like a Whelming Gust Wave, you pitch the 3 resources for the scroll. Now Surging Strike was before it. Something to get combo cards started on bad hands.
Mask of Many Faces.
I was about to say, don't we have that?
We're not giving up our mask slot.
Yeah. No. Totally give it up.
Do that.
No.
That doesn't take your head slot.
No.
Very important.
Card's already printed.
Yeah, but I mean, a one-time use of that would take an entire card from you, I think would not be over. I mean, it would take, first of all, it would take one of your hand slots. It's a one-time use just to get something, a line active. I think that I probably wouldn't play it, but that's maybe actually that's where I land on that. I probably wouldn't play that.
Fair enough.
But there is space for weapons that I think I'd like to see from them.
So
maybe not ones that deal with combo though.
So the original take you put in chat, like, however long ago, and I'm gonna call you out for it, was you said the Armory deck will not be a great entry point because Edge of Autumn can never be better than Kodachi's and Ira. And I want to take this in a weird direction of what makes a great Armory deck for the purposes of as an entry point for new players.
That is, I think, sort of why I wanted to pull back on that statement.
No, I think it's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
I think that, like, my bias is that, like, I'll say whatever I need to get playable combo cards in Katsu. And if that's like trashing a fantastic product to be like, this is not acceptable, I'll do that.
Sure.
But what I really do think is, like, I think that a great entry product for Fab should teach fundamentals. And I think that's, like, it's an easy thing to say, but it's like teaching people how to block, teaching people how to spend their resources, and also at the same time giving them ways to close a game. Because that's what I worry about with the Ira deck, is like, do you have a way to close the game when Flesh and Blood right now, to me, feels like now that Florian isn't really performing as well, it's like, it's not about being a fair deck. You got to be an unfair deck a little bit. You have to have having turns that are consistently like 1 or 2 points above average, like above rate. That's really cool, but it's like Acilio's going to win that game. Like, it's going to be a hero that's just like, okay, well, now here's 20 Arcane, or here's
Herald.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
not just in play patterns, but LSS have been trying to print more like power cards, where it's like, you draw all 3 of your trounces in the first 3 turns, you are now up 20 life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
And
I played a Victor recently that played cast homes into cast homes into cast homes, and it was just like, well, it was nice meeting you, but yeah.
Yep. And so, like, in that sense, and that's something I feel like Flesh and Blood has a hard time with, is when new players are getting into specifically a hobby, a competitive one thing that they need to learn that can be hard to learn is, in this hobby, how do you win? What does winning feel like? Which is very difficult in Flesh and Blood, because Flesh and Blood's a very difficult game, along with the fact that it's very skill intensive, and so better player normally wins. So in that sense, newer people learning what winning feels like or what winning looks like is very difficult. So I hope this deck isn't so fundamentals that it's so honest that it's really hard. It's hard to win games on.
I will say that having gone to, I recently went to. Oh, well, sorry. I recently went to like an armory deck, armory.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think that after doing that, I do think having a deck that is a little bit more fundamentals, Ira's going to be probably the best armory deck to play your other armory deck into, because one of them is a simple game plan, and then the others will be like, okay, what am I trying to? What I get to figure out what I'm trying to do as Bolton while I'm dealing with consistent turns.
Or like Dio. I know a lot of people who got the Dio one as their first armory deck, and they're just like, man, Flesh and Blood's hard. And I'm like, yes, but you also picked the hardest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying?
I'm a little worried that armory deck will just Kodachi lock some people and end up like not Kodachi lock literally, but like just 1 into 7, 1 into 7, 1 into 7, 1 into 7.
Yeah.
While someone's at 1 and they have to give you 4 cards every turn, and the person on the receiving end of that is not going to be enjoying themselves. Of just like, you're not killing me.
It doesn't.
What am I doing here?
Yeah, it doesn't kill.
I'm just getting decked out.
It wins. It doesn't kill. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
like
it's kind of funny.
There's a little
also yes.
There's a little voice in my head of like.
When I was learning to play Flesh and Blood, we learned to play on the Monarch Blitz decks, and specifically the 2 people beside me. One of them was my coworker Josh, who was playing Bolton into Prism. He got into a position to where he was at 1 life. Prism was presenting enough damage to take all the cards out of his hand, but not kill him every single turn. You know, we're all the first time we've ever touched Flesh and Blood cards, so like we're also all playing really bad. And he's just blocks with 4 cards out of his hand every turn and passes. And about the 4th time he did that, his face was blood red. He was so angry. He's like, I can't do anything except block, but you're making me block. Like,
yep.
I think the Monarch Blitz decks are like the Flesh and Blood equivalent of walking uphill to school both ways.
Oh yeah.
Like back in the day, we played the Bolton Blitz deck and we liked it. Like,
I think it's very actually like I feel like you have the same. You can have the same kind of I'm an old geezer kind of response saying you started with the Monarch decks as people who are like, yeah, I remember CC. When I first got into it, I had 2 pieces of Iron Rod equipment in my CC deck because welcome to Wraith. That was your best equipment in those slots. Those people also have boomer Flesh and Blood vibes.
Yep.
So I think I want to end this on the last thing, which is, would it not be hilarious if there was if they printed a card that said Gust Wave of Vengeance?
Don't tease me. Don't tease me.
Would that be hilarious? Because that sounds hilarious.
Yo,
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Wouldn't that be sick?
Wait.
Oh.
And then they print a hero that's called Ira, comma Katsu. Or like Ira and Katsu.
I've heard people say that Benji should be the first team up hero, or the first hero companion.
I think it would be really funny to have like a dual hero card, and it's 40 health, and it's just young Ira, young Katsu, and it's like 2 people, and they're both young, so they have 40 health combined, and so it represents 1 hero card, but it says 2 names on it, so you get both specializations.
You lose one of the hero abilities when you lose one of the hero abilities when you drop below 20, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you are above 20, your second attack gets +1. If you are below 20, I don't know. Or at any point you have a second ability or something like that.
I just want to know are we saying 4 Kodachis then? Because I will play 4 Kodachis. If you let me have 4 Kodachis, I'll play 4 Kodachis.
Two Edge of Autumn.
Shapeshifter Dory says hello.
2 Edge of Autumn. 2 Edge of Autumn, that's what you get.
I'll take it.
That's fine. That's good.
I get to ride.
That's better.
That is better. That is pretty good. No. We're starting to sound like Reddit, so we got to cut this out. So thank you so much for the call. Is there anything specifically you want to shout out, Mr. Poopy?
Just thanks for having me on. Really enjoyed listening to the show so far.
Aw.
I think you guys are doing a great job and keeping it positive and keeping people involved in Flesh and Blood, which is
Aw.
great. So thank you guys.
Okay, but no, like seriously, what are you shouting out? What's your shout out?
Oh my God. What product am I like hawking?
Yeah.
Man.
I want to hear your shill.
Well, I'm actually a big Altered fan, so this
Okay,
is-
never mind. All right, thank you for
Go-
coming on. We'll catch you next time.
All right, take care, guys.
See you. Bye. All right.
Are you gonna kick me or should I leave?
That's Kevin's job.
I was gonna let you leave on your own.
No,
but-
no.
Yeah, I'm going out on my own terms.
Actually,
All
we're
right,
just
see you
gonna kick
guys.
him from the server. Yeah, that sounds great.
All right,
Okay,
bye.
so thank you for coming on. And also thank you to the people in chat. That was super cool. Getting to talk to people about some of these things. Kevin, is there anything else you want to talk about? I had a whole list of things, and then we had 2 callers, and we took 30 minutes on each of them, which is fine.
I mean, that's normal for us.
Yeah.
I don't
News
know.
gone. Who am I allowed to play that I couldn't play previously?
I don't know. It depends on how everyone deals with Gravy Bones, because that's kind of the metric.
Yeah, that's
He's kind of
that's
Enigma.
the new thing.
Look,
Mhm.
Not so hot take. He's just Enigma light.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like the more I've played against Gravy, I'm just like, dang, is it the fact that these don't have Phantasm feels kind of awful. But the fact that they don't all have Go Again, but then again
The
that
action point limiting is usually real, and then he
Yeah.
has some turns where you're like, oh, he swung 4 allies at me for 24 damage.
Yeah. Or it's like, okay, he's got Cutty Shark on the field, so that he doesn't get to swing it, but he still gets to get something out of it, or Chowder or something, depending on
like
what
he's
allies they're
netting
running.
value, or like Moray.
Mm-hmm,
Moray is
Moray.
actually
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
didn't see a ton of hype, and I looked at that card. I'm like, this is how you snowball. This is how you
Mhm.
actually snowball. This is Shimmers of Silver
Yeah.
for Gravy Bones.
It could be kind of gross. I haven't lost against one yet, but they also are not. I mean, Gravy's been out a week, so
It's they're new Gravy players. Give it
mhm.
a month.
I think
and when we see Yuki's list at Nats, I assume
It's-
we'll
it's-
also give people a
yeah.
a boost.
It's funny because like Jarl's like, yes, news gone. No, Gravy's here. Because I assume you could blow up his compass, but I think it's still
No,
could
that matters
be.
a lot.
No, I know it matters a lot. It still sounds like a rough matchup.
You have. I think it's not as rough as. I think it's really not that bad
Oh yeah.
because you don't give Gravy a say in blowing up the compass,
Yes.
and then it's very hard for him to develop a board that you're not capable of dealing with.
I guess that's fair.
Because like it means that it's very, instead of swinging twice in a turn,
mhm.
he's playing 2 allies in a turn, which means you're taking like 4 to 7 less damage per turn.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is
that
a
is kind of a lot. Yeah, that's kind of a lot. And hammer clears like half the allies, and your attacks clear the rest of them pretty easy. So,
Yeah, you're just gonna sit on a 7 power. You'll sit on an Oakenol to clear Whaler, and if also, by the way, if you blow up Compass, they can't double Whaler you.
that's true.
Like they can't
can't do
double
the-
Whaler
the
you
big combo.
and swing 1.
Yes. They can't do the big combo.
Yeah, they can double Whaler.
Yes.
Well, okay, they have to work really freaking hard to double Whaler and swing because they have to
Yes.
like Rum plus Diamond Amulet or like Chart the High Seas hits a back alley break line or some nonsense.
Yeah. It's got to be a lot.
They have to work so much harder to make a board you can't deal with.
So, no, I think that makes sense. But also, what was I gonna say? I think one thing actually, the more I'm thinking about it, maybe Jarl is in a better. I've stopped playing Guardian, so I've stopped thinking about Guardian too much. But also like, Jarl.
Yeah, I see Macho Grande on its side behind you.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, yes. Well, that's because the dang cat knocked it into the floor, dented it all up. I'm gonna have to get a proper frame for
what
this. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to get that framed. What
Yeah,
the
I need to
frick?
get a proper frame. Too lazy to do it. But the one thing that I was saying about Guardians for a while is it feels bad that you had to tech kind of for new, and you also had a tech kind of for illusionists, and now maybe
Yeah.
you really just have to tech for Illusionist, or at least like cover yourself so it's not a fully I lose 100% of the time matchup. Whereas it felt like previously you had to pick one. One of them was 100% lose, and the other one's 40% win or whatever, so.
Because there's really like 3 legs of the meta that you're trying to deal with, which is the aggro value decks, which your Guardian you're going to be fine into, but you still need to keep the cards in to do that, and you couldn't do that against New. And then the normal value didn't work against Illusionist, but now you just have Illusionist and value. And you can probably do that a lot better.
Instead of having, 2 different ways that people are going to try to break the math on you.
You can play like Sword of Value against all the other assassins. You couldn't, like, New just broke it. So I think Guardian will be like fine once they figure out. There's going to be like an arms race between Guardian and Gravy Bones, I think. And then I think your Verdance matchup is still probably bad. Because you probably just get nuked from orbit still. But that's also like you can put in like Smashing Good Time and stuff like that, and like that's easier to deal with than New.
I think at one point, freaking Victor was like fairly not that bad into Verdance, but Verdance has had a lot of iterations since then. She's gotten a lot better. So a lot of better players have put thought into it, and so
you just like cast homes a couple times, and you probably can like try and build them up. But like you also like you stack a cast homes. You stack a cast homes with a Smash and Good Time, and then stuff gets really hairy for them. I think. And then they counter
stack
do that.
A Mind Warp. I don't know. It's there's Flesh and Blood metas be a meta, of course. So
I think this meta will be healthier than the last one, even with Enigma Light in it. I'm still much more interested in the way Gravy Bones interacts, because he's also like way more susceptible than Enigma ever was. Like the board is not pure health gain, whereas Enigma's was. And they were like, here's all these anti-prevention cards, and she's like, okay. Phantasmaclasm.
Yes.
But
and so
Gravy is like secretly a 34 health hero. So like, and also doesn't have Enigma's armor suite. Jesus Christ.
Gravy's
armor suite does not block.
It blocks 2, but they're important cards you want to keep.
It blocks 1. Because Hook is battle worn.
Sure.
So Hook is battle worn, Threads is Blade Break. But like it's like your tunic block, which is like
it's not really a block. It's not a block in the sense of like it's covering any kind of break point of any kind, right? So
you can cover exactly one. You can cover 1 break point for 4
at the very end of the game,
and that's it.
So,
and I think Gravy is like way more susceptible to targeting than Enigma ever was. Like Enigma was just gross, and Traverse. He doesn't have Traverse. He has a ludicrous amount of card filtering. But he's still like actually a 34 health hero, because he's going to end the game with 2 allies in his hand when you present lethal. Like every game I've played against Gravy, they had at least 2 allies in their hand, and they just died.
No, exactly, right? So like my last game against Gravy, it was like they played their second Humperdinck, and they were at 20 life, and I was like, okay, at this point, I pivot to killing Gravy.
I am exploding you.
Yes, you. I cannot deal with this right now. You have to die. So, in that sense, I'm excited about what Gravy Mastery Set looks like and what it does for the class. I think that'll be really interesting.
What Gravy Mastery Set does?
Gravy Mastery Set, what Guardian Mastery Set does, and what it does to the class. Specifically, I want to see some interesting new tools, or even what I want to see is just new, like, maybe not keywords is specifically what I'm looking for. I want to see like maybe a different. What are you making a face for?
Does Valda beat the shit out of Gravy?
Absolutely. He rocks up and he
surges does she make every turn?
It's too many. Holy frick. It's gonna be a lot.
Yeah, it is. She might beat the shit out of Gravy.
Oh my gosh, he draws so many cards. She doesn't even need the cards to draw her. I was just thinking like her.
She doesn't need her half of it.
No, she doesn't need her half of it.
She's gonna have 3 5 cost attacks.
She's gonna be running things that give. She's gonna be running time skippers because she's gonna have extra blues in her hands.
Pitch a blue for go again.
Yeah. I think. No, I think
Valda might beat the shit out of Gravy.
Gravy walks up and he's like, "Ha, me and all my boys," and Valda does not care and punches him in the nose.
And Valda says, "You drew 2 cards? Sick." 2 cards Spinal Crush.
And then she does her own shenanigans, and it's a 1-card Spinal. It's just on your turn you play the Spinal Crush. So, I think it'll be neat. Also, it's like, oh, you imagine something like something absurd. You get 5 Seismic Surges out of nowhere, but the hand you decide to keep is a 3-card hand of Zealous Belting, clear an ally, pitched a blue for that, and then you play your Guardian card for free because that last one was a generic.
Yeah, you play a fucking Debilitate off the 1 resource you have floating.
Yeah. Oh,
and you
man.
like 3-card 15.
Yeah. No, I think Valda's going to be interesting and could be very aggressive, very synergistic, very aggressive. But
all right.
What I'm hoping at a Guardian Mastery set is that there's actually like another kind of direction they can take the class in, right? So like
not Crush.
Yeah.
Not Wager.
Yeah. And not to say those are bad and I don't like them, and not like Heave either necessarily, though there's been new Heave cards. I think that's fine. But I mean to say, like, you know how we just had this last set and Mechanologist got a new mechanic in Cog. I think we should see another mechanic or 2 out of Guardian would be super cool.
I think they're fleshing out the Seismic Surge mechanic a little bit.
That sounds cool.
Some of the stuff we've seen.
So
Well, I mean, they actually made like good cards that are good value for generating Seismic Surges.
Straight up,
like
massive upgrades over their previous Seismic Surge cards. Yeah.
Like the previous one was like a 2-cost red 2-block with Go Again that made 3 Seismic Surges and it was an action.
Yeah.
And this one is an instant
And
for
it's blue.
0 that makes 3. No, it's yellow.
It was a yellow? Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
It's yellow, but you say it's blue because it pitches as a blue from your arsenal.
Oh, from your arsenal. You know who else pitched from your arsenal? Misfield Heroes.
You set that in your arsenal and you find your red attack, and then you play that on your turn after attacking with your thing and arsenal your other red threat for next turn with the 3 Seismic Surges plus Dominate.
Yes,
like
I love that. Now Valda might be silly.
I've seen some people not like that card, and I look at that and I'm like, this is Tome of Imperial Flame.
It's pretty.
It's not quite Tome of Imperial Flame because you don't have Faithless Looting attached to it, but like it's Tome of Imperial Flame.
It's pretty good.
There was a lot that Tome did for Dromai that was kind of messed up, which is be a blue pitch from your arsenal.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm excited about
Hot with Go Again.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about Mastery Pack, but also I'm excited about we're moving into national season. We have several heroes, or we had several heroes on the cusp of LLing. One of them's already gone.
No, we still do.
Yeah, and so we still have Azalea, we still have Dash, we still have a couple of heroes in like the 800, 900 range. So I think it'll be exciting over the next few weeks to see who sails off into the distance. So let's see how they shake up the game.
German Nats.
It's kind of
starting
weird.
tomorrow night.
It's not even like shaking up the game too much because we're in the middle of mid-range soup right now. So it's like a hero leaves and you're like, oh, okay.
Well, it's because we had 15 relevant decks going into Nats.
New left, and I'm not thinking to myself, oh, I can take these 3 cards out of my sideboard because I don't have my sideboard typed for a certain hero.
Yeah, it's so far from like any best deck leaving. Like I think Zen might be the only LL that had less impact than New leaving. Like, and New still has a decent amount of impact coming out, but like Gravy Bones is like kind of holding the other side of that. But like Zen had like no impact, and that's like the only LL that's like close, or that it's like close to, I think, because like every other LL has been more impactful. But like we had so many heroes that were relevant at Nats that it's like one leaving like doesn't mean anything. Like, hang on, I want to count how many heroes are relevant at Nats. Slippy, Marionette, Azalea, Syndra. I'm not going to count Dio or Dory. Fang, Florian, Gravy Bones, Kano, Kasai. Katsu was like half relevant, but people didn't really.
It was something people were thinking about. You had that on your mind. You might have played a game of Katsu or 2 in testing.
Yeah. KO.
Yeah.
Acilio was in that same spot as Katsu.
Yeah.
Prism.
Well into double
Verdant.
digits.
We're at 13.
Yeah.
And that's not including the like half a tier down where it's like, yeah, this is a deck you need to know can be there, or you wouldn't be surprised to find day one. It's probably not going to do well into day 2 unless they draft like 5-1-6-0.
And some of these decks are kind of tricky.
That was 13.
They have very specific personal game plans that you need to understand. Like, you can't go into a Prism game having not played against a Prism. You can't do that with a lot of the Assassins either.
No, you can't do that with the Assassins.
No. So, like, in that sense, it's like, there's a lot of decks, and there's a lot of, like, I don't know. It's like, it's interesting because I think these kind of metas are really challenging in a different way.
New is 14.
Oh yeah, New too. New is also a part.
New's not even on this list because she's LL'd.
Yeah. And so, like, in that sense, it's just like there's a lot of good decks right now, and so like you have to tailor your sideboard around things that generally are good against certain archetypes, or cover your weaknesses in certain cases, right? So
yeah, that's generally more the way we leaned going to Nats, was like your sideboard covers your weaknesses, not targets a specific matchup, because there's no piece of the meta share that's like, yeah.
What was the hero you played against?
But it's like,
did you play against duplicate heroes at Nationals? I don't remember.
2 Fang, 2 Florian.
Still, that's 2 heroes in pairs, right? Like,
in
not like
Nats. Yes.
Yeah.
In the Battle Hardened, I played against 2 Verdants.
Mm-hmm.
I played against a 3rd Fang.
Technically separate tournament.
Yeah, separate event, but like same weekend. But like I played almost everything. I like played Marionette, New, Azuri.
I've definitely
I played all the Assassins and Slippy. I literally played against all 4 Assassins.
I've definitely heard of tournaments, and obviously this is arguably worse metas, where it's like people are like, well, I'm 0-4 because I played against 3 of the exact same deck and 1 deck that's very similar. So
yeah, no, Mara's London run was Florian, New.
Exactly.
Marionette.
Right? So.
And as Vince said, that's like
Marionette.
That's an extremely taxing bracket. That is like an incredibly difficult bracket to play. Where it's like she hit no Auroras, and Aurora's the most represented deck by like 10%.
Yeah. And I know some people who were like, well, I played 4 Auroras.
Yeah.
Or I can think of someone who said 3. I don't know about 4. But still.
Yeah, I think that's something like Runaways looked at top 8 of London. They're like, how many Auroras did each of you play? And the average was like below 2, which means we were like below rate. But that's because the top 5 of us, all the Auroras were a bracket down from us the entire run.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, no.
Because all the Auroras like did win and ins into 6 through 8. And 4 of us that were not Aurora were locked before the last round. So we were just like a step above the Auroras the entire time.
Well, Craig's proven us all wrong. He played new Mario Acilio. That's so bad. That's so bad.
No.
And you were playing a warrior, right? And you exploited that, and you just won all of your games, right? Also, that's something I need to talk to like a wider audience. Huh?
Acilio beats the snot out of Warrior, doesn't it?
But like, my point is like, that's something I need to talk to somebody about. Is like, for some reason, Assassin just has a piss poor matchup into Warrior, and I'm not entirely sure. Well, I think I understand basically why, but I think I just want to talk it out with somebody. Maybe now's not the best time because it's already well past time. Kevin, do you have anything? Something, whatever. Shout outs. I had to pull up my my notes.
I did a couple VOD reviews with Andrew of his games from Nats. Andrew Cook.
I haven't watched any of them, but I'm actually excited about. I haven't watched them yet, but like I'm super excited about that because I think that's super cool. That
it was really good. I think I might move might have moved a couple of my game plans a little bit. I think there's some stuff that I still just like disagree with, but like it's very small stuff that like where even he was like, yeah, it's totally fine to go the other way on this. This is just the way I just decided to do it.
Yeah.
But like, nah, it was
especially on a deck like Prism.
I'm so sorry. That is the nightmare run.
Oh, I missed the word as.
As Acilio.
New
That's
Mario.
An unplayable bracket.
As someone who's played New and Mario into Acilio.
It's actively unplayable.
I've lost to Acilio before. Like once.
Yeah. Once out of like 100.
Yeah. It's not good. Okay.
No.
But I think that basically wraps it up for us, right? Nothing else you wanted to go over?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm just gonna watch German Nats and UK Nats this weekend and all the other ones. There's a spreadsheet going around with all the Nats results that's going to be updated as they happen. If you want that, I actually might just drop that.
I would love that. Yeah, if you could put that in the Pit Against server specifically, I think that would be super cool.
Copy link.
But
General Fab.
as he's doing that, remember to go check out our merch store at thetablepit-shop.fourthwall.com, where you can get shirts that say things like, well, we have the Hawaiian t-shirt, which is very similar to the same playmat that you could get, the same kind of playmat, a Hawaiian Table Pit playmat on Talishar for only $1 on our Patreon. So, I mean, you go sub to our Patreon at patreon.com/thetablepit as well, which doing so supports not only us getting all of this stuff better, making my stuff on my side better specifically, but also like for our project videos. If you liked our project videos, our Patreon helps pay for most of those projects. But thank you so much, everyone, for watching. You can find that link that Kevin's going to put somewhere in the Discord. Which in General Fab, which you can find the link to the Discord in the description of this video. And thank y'all. Every Thursday we're here. It's typically starting to stream around 7, but the show goes from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays. We also have a show called No Box, which is a chill Talishar stream where we do and don't block on Saturday mornings, and then we have a design show, the Design Table, which is a chill fab themed art show at 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Thank y'all so much for watching again. Thank you so much for watching. I've said it 5 times now. Bye.